Well, she said she's magical, mystical, a powerful wonder girl.
Joining us now is Toronto-based author Shiloh Justice, who is exposing the dynamics behind the lives of crime and the abused with her new dramatic novel, The Untold Story of a Drug Dealer's Baby Mother. Welcome to What She Said.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Quite the title. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a really timely book because it deals with the far-reaching effects of negative social, economic, environmental factors that marginalize a person's life, something that's becoming more and more a part of our conversation these days. So tell us about the story a little.
So the story follows a young couple, Maya and Q, and it is exposing the history of their background and how this currently influences their life and their life decisions. And basically, as the novella is told, Maya and Q attempt to love each other despite abuse and cheating and neglect. And the way that they come to this agreement, or the way that they grow through this process, is with spirituality, through understanding that they need to be accountable and responsible for their actions, and that your past does not excuse your current behavior. And so once they step into this newfound understanding that they are empowered because they are making the decisions and they are the ones that make the ultimate choice, they're able to enter into a better relationship with God and the one that created them.
Do you in any way in your book reference the fact that people sometimes are just not aware of the effects of being marginalized? Or are you saying that they are aware and they use that as a crutch not to sort of face the problem and fix it?
Well, I think that both are correct. I think there are some people that aren't aware, and when they become aware and are given the tools and resources, they can excel. And then I think that there are some people who use it as a crutch and like to rely on the victim mentality in order to perpetuate whatever negative behavior they're carrying on with.
So the story in total is about hope and healing through faith and forgiveness.
Yes.
So why did you want to tackle this topic?
Well, my mother was murdered in 1985 in Toronto. I was 9 months old. I was left without a father or siblings, and I had a very interesting and I think dynamic experience growing up with my grandmother and foster care and group homes and all of these things. And all of these experiences brought together who I am today. And I just felt like it was part of my duty to not only educate people, but to help people that might share a similar background as me, and to talk to them through my writing in a way that can actually reach them and that they can relate to.
So how did you manage all of that?
I think one of the first things I did was I accepted the responsibility for what I could in my life at a very, very young age. And I just kind of took it from there. My relationship with God has played a major, major role in allowing me to graduate from high school, have a full scholarship, go on to university. I would really say it's God and that accountability piece. When people blame, they disempower themselves. And I think a lot of people are not aware of that. So when you're able to really just look in the mirror and say, like, where can I improve and how can I assess myself so that I can at least make better decisions for me, it allows people to have a confidence and a hope, that they can actually go forward and be what they set out to be.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that's hard for people who went through that is then future relationships because they're emotionally broken sometimes.
Yes.
But I would think that you would have probably sailed right through that too.
Yeah, my grandmother played an instrumental role in my life at the age of 14. She kind of took me under her wing and she helped to develop my faith. And then also certain teachers and mentors that I had along the way were really, really helpful. And despite the fact that a lot of my peers did not graduate and a lot of my peers struggled with drug issues and early pregnancy and these types of things, I still felt that I had to go on and I had to do what I had to do. And I felt that if I got into a better position, I could always turn back and try to reach out to them and help to lift them up as well.
So Going back to your mother, you said, was she murdered by someone she knew?
Yes.
Yeah. So is this kind of partially her story that
It
you've
is.
woven into this?
Yeah, I dedicated this series to her.
You dedicated this to
did,
her.
yeah.
So how does your grandmother feel about this?
She's proud of me. I think
Of
it's
course
very
she is.
painful for her. I don't think you ever really get over losing a child, especially at the
imagine.
age my mom was only 19. She was still quite young. And so for her, she says that she's really proud of what I'm doing, but she's still healing. And so it's difficult for her to get into deep conversations about certain things with me when it comes to those
I think it's also when people love you and they had no control over
Yeah.
what maybe you went through. It's hard to read in black and white.
It is.
Some of the hellish things that maybe you did live through because she's your grandmother. She wants to protect you. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a very good point. Like I remember when I turned, I think it was 12 or 13, she finally brought the newspaper article to me of my mother's death from the Sunday Sun. And she's like, I can't talk about it, but please read it and learn as much as you can and, try to see if there's any more information that you can get.
So what do you hope that people learn or take away from your book?
Number one is the responsibility and the accountability piece. I think that is a prevalent message just throughout the book, and then I kind of really bring it home at the end. And then the second part is having that faith and having that relationship with the one who created you.
It's interesting because I think at the moment, and I don't want to confuse the issue here, but Canada has we have failed our Indigenous people,
Yep.
and we're hearing a lot about the ongoing generational problems.
Yeah.
You're saying that every individual of every generation needs to take accountability for what they do and get away from holding the past events responsible.
Yes. I feel that it is not to dismiss the past.
Absolutely.
But if I were to hold on to what happened to me at the beginning of my life, if I were to hold on to the fact that I don't have a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, if I were to hold on to these things, I would not be able to progress. I would not be where I am today. Blame is just very, very disempowering. And although terrible things happen and tragedies do happen, pointing the blame doesn't really make any sense because both parties are participating. And even in my book, it's not focused on race. However, some of the characters are aware of how their race interplays into things. But the main focus is that you have power.
You can
have
control
power.
your life.
You can control your life. You can control your destiny.
Well, look at you. You've won awards already for your writing, right? It's great. Now what? And you said this is a series. This book
It
is a
is,
series. So
yes.
tell us what comes next.
So what comes next is it's called The Heart Detox: How to Exit the Matrix. So it is the continuation of Maya and Q's healing along with Shiloh Justice. He is like a supernatural kind of being and character within the novels. And then the final book is called Shiloh's Justice, where he kind of brings everything together and lifts up all the characters and they kind of live a wholesome, healthy, happy, normal life.
So where do people go to get the book and find out more about it?
So you can go on Amazon. It's also downtown Toronto at Another Bookstory. And you can contact me on my Facebook page or Instagram at Shiloh's Justice.
Shiloh's Justice.
And when are the other two coming out?
I hope to have the second one done by this summer.
Wonderful.
This summer.
Yes.
Who inspires you when you're writing?
So my inspirations are Toni Morrison, Stephen King, Alice Walker, Oscar Wilde, and Joyce Myers.
Oscar Wilde. That's
Yes.
interesting. Out of all those.
His wit is just
really
funny
off the
to me.
charts.
Right? He's so funny.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in and telling us.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
having
making
me.
so much of your life.
Oh, thank you.
This is great. It's a great story. Again, the title of the book is The Untold Story of a Drug Dealer's Baby Mother. And we will put up links to it on all our social media pages so you can get it right there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
What she said. mythical, powerful